going to be doing that with your shorts?
Yeah. This is the start of a video series that we have created for many different things. I'm going to be doing a video on a basic red sauce. So this is something that I make pretty often in my kitchen. You don't have to use all the same products and ingredients that I use. You can get them at a grocery store, bodega, whatever brand that you like. It's totally up to you. But this is just the way that I do it. It's a really easy and inexpensive way to make a really delicious red sauce while you're at home wondering what to do with yourself. What is in this sauce? Red onion, garlic, olive oil, a little bit of butter at the base. We're doing tomato paste. And then our seasoning, I'm doing red pepper flake. I'm also doing this jarred Italian seasoning blend, which has basil, rosemary, marjoram, thyme, sage, oregano. I would say probably, oh my God. The most important herbs for this are dried oregano and rosemary. Then we're gonna do a can of whole peeled tomatoes with their juices and a can of crushed tomatoes with their juices. And that's it. Okay, so I have a pretty large Dutch oven, insulated Dutch oven here. I usually have this size just because I live with 2 other people and I usually make a lot of everything that I do. What's great about this sauce is that you can make a lot, you can store it in the fridge for like a week, and then you could also freeze it if you want to, if you think that you're not gonna get to it. It definitely gets better over time, like after a day or 2 in the fridge, especially if you make it with pasta or something, all of the flavors will definitely enhance and it'll be much, much better afterwards. So what I start with is, I'm gonna do red onion today. You can do yellow onion, you could do shallot, but I'm gonna do this because this is what I have. I'm also not a real chef, so if you're looking at my knife skills and you realize that I'm doing something wrong, I am very sorry. So what I like to do with the red onion, especially because it's round and spherical, cut the bottom of it like that, and then you have a flat end that you can rest while you cut. Okay, so this is my chopped onion. I'm not so concerned about it being super fine. If you want it super fine, have at it. So what I'm gonna do is, in addition to putting extra virgin olive oil in my pot, I usually do about 1 to 2 tablespoons, but I'm also gonna add butter. This just adds a little bit more fat. It creates a little bit more depth of flavor. And butter is just awesome. That, maybe like a tablespoon of butter, maybe half a tablespoon of butter if you're not working out while in quarantine. I don't know. Turn this on. I'm gonna do like medium heat. I don't know if like any of this is right. I just like watch a lot of food media and like basically I'm repeating.
I think it's all about editing.
It is all about editing. I could really look like I know what I'm doing with really great editing. So you have your oil and butter heated up, and I'm gonna smash, usually most recipes call for like 2 cloves of garlic. I use 3 because I love garlic. And so does everyone else in my household, so it usually works out. Also, what you guys don't know is that my phone is taped to my refrigerator. Very high tech.
No one has to know.
No one, well, now everyone knows. Okay, so I'm gonna put in my onions. The sound you want to hear. Like a nice sizzle. With the garlic, I don't necessarily like to, you can if you want to mince it really fine, if you want to microplane it really fine, that's totally up to you. I just like to do kind of like small little slices, because it will break down. I think it'll look like that. You wanted to just put all of your aromatics, your alliums as they're called, into the oil to flavor the oil. That's building the base of really any sauce or anything that you make. Put that on top of the onions. Garlic has a tendency to brown a lot quicker, so usually putting it on top of onions or something else usually prevents it from hitting the oil or butter directly. If you burn garlic, you pretty much have ruined what you're doing and you have to start over. Also, important thing that you should be doing is seasoning with salt and pepper multiple times throughout this process, just to taste. So I'm going to do a pinch of kosher salt and some fresh ground pepper. Are you able to like take the phone off and like show what I'm doing? This is what it's going to look like. So get going. Let that go for about like 3 to 4 minutes with everything in there.
Duct tape for doing.
Oh my god, no. This is also the time to add any additional aromatics. I like to put red pepper flakes, which is this here. I'm gonna use this dried Italian seasoning blend, dried oregano. That's, I would say, the most important dried herb that you're gonna put in the base of your sauce. Again, this is, when you do this in the oil when it's hot, it's called blooming, and it really builds a nice base of flavor for anything that you're making. So I do probably about like a tablespoon of the dried Italian herb seasoning, and about maybe a half of a teaspoon of the red pepper flakes. If you want it spicier, you can add more. I also put sometimes fish sauce in at this stage, which is just like anchovies and sea salt. But a lot of people are not fans of anchovy.
You don't have to tell them.
Well, that's what I would do, but this is pretty basic. So after you let that go for a little bit, a really important ingredient, great shelf staple to have, is tomato paste. This just adds a little bit more complexity. It really adds a deep tomato flavor to your sauce. This is just like concentrated tomato. It's awesome. So I usually do about a tablespoon of this. I really like this stuff, so I kind of go crazy. We are running out of this one.
You can use the tip of the thing cap as a little opener. Press it.
Oh my god. I didn't know that. That's so cool. Oh my god. Oh my god, thank you. See, this is why I have you standing here. So with the tomato paste, you want to get it to a really dark red color. It almost looks like the tomato paste is going to be burnt. It's not. That's how you know that you're ready to move on to your next step. I would let this go still on medium heat for about like 4 to 5 minutes, and just let kind of the color, that deep red, almost brown color, build on your tomato paste. When I'm making sauce, I always do, typically, if I'm making a lot, which is what I'm doing now, I'll always do a can of whole peeled tomatoes plus a can of crushed tomatoes. The whole peeled tomatoes I separate the juices from the whole canned tomatoes itself. So I usually drain out all the liquid, put in the whole tomatoes, crush them with my hands, put the crushed whole tomatoes in that first, kind of let the same chemical reaction happen with the whole tomatoes that is happening with the tomato paste now. So let those tomatoes kind of get a really deep red color, almost burnt brown looking color. And then you're gonna add the juices of the whole tomato can plus the whole can of the crushed tomatoes. Okay, so what I did is I separated the juices of the tomato, of the can of whole tomatoes, and I crushed my whole tomatoes. I also poured out some of the reserved liquid that will be at the bottom. Also, by all means, like, if you don't want to make the time to do this, like, don't do it. Just like pour it in. Totally fine. So I'm gonna pour in the whole tomatoes now. Again, I'm gonna wait for that to kind of turn a dark red color.
That was a good sizzle.
It was a good sizzle. It's been about 5-ish or so minutes. This is a good color. You're probably not used to seeing tomatoes look this dark red. Like I said, it's like almost brown, but this is really the color that you want it to be, which is great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the rest of the liquid from the first can tomatoes that we put in. And then I'm gonna add the whole can of the crushed tomatoes that we have. Give that a stir. This is another great opportunity to season with salt and pepper. Oh, this is gonna be pretty thick. If you wanna thin it out a little bit, you can throw in some water. You can let this sit to kind of build flavor on medium low to low, anywhere from like 45 minutes to like 2 hours. And like I said, just add water as needed to thin it out. A little salt, a little pep. If you have it, usually you can throw like a couple sprigs of rosemary right on top. We'll give it a taste. Tasting spoon. It's all like proper restaurant protocol. Happy with it. It's pretty tomatoey. Got a good kick to it. Cover it. Let it do its thing.
Guest starring Gibson.
Yeah, guest starring Gibson, who is meowing all day. Like, don't have animals in your kitchen when you're making red sauce.
Good tip, Greg.
Yeah. Okay, so this has been going for about an hour. It's at a pretty good place. Show it to you. This is kind of where we want it to be. It's bubbling. You can hear it. Just a good sign. Again, I let that sit for an hour. It can be done within 45 minutes. If you want to let it to go for another hour on very, very low, you can keep adding liquid to kind of thin it out and to add more volume to the actual sauce. Typically, a lot of people add sugar to their red sauces. You can do that. It just kind of adds like a different flavor profile to it. Some people add carrots in lieu of white sugar. I grew up having white sugar in it. As I got older, my mom was adding carrots. I didn't add any sugar. I'm more of like a savory kind of flavor person. So like, I would prefer like the anchovy fish sauce, but go ahead and do it if that's what you're used to and that's what you like. Normally I would also have a large pot of boiling water next to this, which would be for my pasta. Once it hits boiling, salt it heavily. It should be like the ocean. You want to throw in your pasta. Probably good for this sauce, I would say like a spaghetti, a bucatini, a linguine. Yes, thank you. Linguine, any ribbon type of pasta is good, but by all means, like use a pasta that you have or that you can find. I like to do it al dente. Read the package instructions of your pasta. It'll let you know how long to cook it for it to be al dente. And then add the pasta to the sauce and kind of let it finish cooking, still having a chewy texture in the sauce itself. That is also the time to reserve some of the pasta liquid from the cauldron that your pasta was boiling in. That has some starchiness in it. It definitely adds some flavor. Again, we'll thin out your sauce, which is great. And then we'll cook along with everything together. That's also a time if you want to add a little bit more butter, maybe about a tablespoon, you can throw it in there while the pasta's in there. Also a time to grate some fresh Parmesan cheese if you have that on hand. And then you can serve right out of this. But that is a quick, easy, basic pasta sauce, pretty inexpensive, and easy to find all the ingredients. But feel free to ad-lib it as you want, especially in the beginning. Thanks. Yeah, that's good.